And welcome into episode 6 of Meet the Rams Home Run Alley. I'm your host, James Trietley, and today we are joined by, once again, head coach Bobby Garza. Bobby, I would ask you how you're doing, but I kind of have a good feeling of already the answer there.
Feeling great.
Feeling great. See,
Feeling great.
I already had a good idea of that. First thing we want to kick off with is big congratulations, as you guys are the first place regular season conference champions in the Sooner Athletic Conference. Bobby, that's quite an accomplishment. And, leading into our questions first, how important was it to secure that number 1 spot heading into this week's tournament?
It was extremely important for us. When you're the number 1 seed in the conference tournament, it sets you up pretty well from a pitching standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, from a recovery standpoint, most importantly. It's already starting to be in the low 90s already. So all of that combined, it sets you up pretty nicely in the conference tournament. So it was important for us to continue to compete for the number 1 spot.
Now, we talked before you guys went on the road. You guys played Wesleyan Baptist. You guys played MACU. And you kind of pointed out that this was going to be kind of your start of the playoffs, would you say? I mean, you really emphasized, like, these are 2 tough teams. And you guys go out there and win majority of those games, both take series wins, and then MACU was such a huge series for you to go out and get that victory to secure that number 1 spot.
Yeah, definitely. Going on the road to Wesleyan Baptist is extremely tough. So when we were able to take 2 of 3 up there and then going to MACU, and everyone knew that the winner of that conference or that conference series had the opportunity to be conference champions, it was big. So they knew it, we knew it, and to be able to sweep them at their place was huge for us.
So now going into this week, you have such a big matchup, but let's kind of recap of the regular season and what we've seen so far. Let's first talk about the offense. And I mean, that's probably the biggest spotlight you could think of, a team that's you see as first in average overall, near first place in the conference. You've seen above average hitters in T.J. Tomlinson, power hitters in Grayson Barrett. There's so many guys to name on this team that have done well offensively. What has been that key component that has really led to the emergence of this success this year from the offense?
I think it's really understanding who we are and what we're about. Coach Durham has done a phenomenal job of planning with our offense, breaking each hitter down individually, telling them what they do really well, what they struggle with, what we need to improve on, and just really having a plan of attack based off of who we're playing, where we're playing, what the weather's looking like, and just going out there and playing. And one of the really good things about our offense is that no one has to be the superstar. If Grayson Barrett goes 0 for 4 but has 4 great at-bats, he's going to set himself up for later on in the game. But more importantly, he's going to set somebody up behind him, whether it's fighting off good pitching, having long at-bats. I remember there was 2 at-bats in particular this past weekend where Grayson saw close to 10-plus pitches, and he got out both times. Well, that set himself up down the road later on in the game, but it also added pressure pitches to the pitcher. It made him have to throw those pressure pitches, which shortened his outing, but then also it set up opportunities for people in the order after him to be able to get elevated fastballs and hit them over the fence, like some of the guys did this past weekend.
We talk about hitting balls over the fence and just the offense, such record-setting numbers this year. It's been just a huge year to be a part of Rams Nation overall, right?
Yeah, it's been great watching those guys go out and bang the baseball all over the field. So Coach Durham and the players deserve all the credit. I'd like to think that because my elbow and my shoulder are some throbbing every night, that maybe I can get a little credit.
Right.
Same with Coach Shopik, but no, 100% all the credit goes to Coach Shopik and the players.
So looking at the pitching side now, moving over from the offense, it was kind of an up and down year we've seen. But we've seen a guy in Sutton Tidwell who has now won his 2nd Player of the Week award in the conference. Talk about that emergence of the pitching over these past few weeks and what's really set them aside from anything else.
Sure, they've competed. I've been really pleased of how they've competed on the mound. Really they deserve a lot of the credit for what happened in the last 4 weeks. We were able to take 3 games at Central Christian. We were able to take 3 games at Oklahoma Panhandle State. We were able to take 3 games again, or two out of 3 against Wesleyan Baptist, and then take 3 games at MACU. So they deserve a lot of the credit. But they've just risen to the challenge. You know, there's a lot of things, there's a litany of list of things that have gone on within our pitching staff that not a lot of people know about. And these guys just show up with Coach Shopik. They compete, they work. Sutton has made a few tweaks in his delivery, and it's allowed him to be successful. It's allowed him to be able to sustain success throughout the game and continue into later on in the game and log more innings. So they've done a great job, but also they know their role. They know what they need to do. We're not asking certain pitchers to go 7 innings. So that takes a lot of pressure off of them. And really, we just need them to keep us in the game, and that's exactly what they've done, is they've kept us in the game and allowed our offense to be able to strike when it's time.
And not even just the rotation, the bullpen. We've seen guys, even in that last home series, that came out there and really shined. Guys like Eugene Gay, you saw Jackson Ingram come in late. Those guys are the bullpen that really define what it means to be holding the lead and holding the team in it.
Yeah, definitely. The back end of the bullpen's been great for us. We're able to get some people in there, log some innings as well. But it just, again, it's next man up. We'll throw somebody out there, and they continue to compete and give us opportunities to stay in games and win games.
Now, going over to the defensive side, we've seen some great fielding throughout the year. One of my favorite plays to watch from the booth was J.D. Padgett throwing a guy out at home to save the game and win it against Southwestern Christian. That was just an exciting play, had me jumping out of my seat. Now, going back even further, we saw a bit of a shift early in the season. And that shift we saw was TJ was at second base, now he moves over to third. Brandon Rincones was over at third base, now he moves to short. And Jose Sosa kind of forced his hand into the lineup. We got to put him at second base. So we kind of saw a bit of a shift. What led into that decision making? Did you see that as kind of a turning point for these guys?
I wouldn't necessarily say it was a turning point. We're very fortunate to have 3 shortstops on our team. And Sosa does a phenomenal job at second base. And yes, his bat has been huge for us. But at the beginning of the year, we told the players, we want them to make my job tough. We want them to be able to put pressure on the coaching staff to fill out a lineup. And really, with having 3 shortstops, it allowed us to try to figure out what gel is working, what do we feel like is a right fit, what's going to click. And it seemed like once we made that move, it clicked, and it's done really well for us. So we're excited with that group right there. They've done a phenomenal job of keeping the ball in the infield. And to kind of touch a little bit on JD's situation at the plate, those guys play aggressive defense, and that's one thing that we want to do is play aggressive defense. But also, with being aggressive defense, we know that there's going to be some errors because of the style of play that we have on our defense. So we let the players know that making physical errors, that's okay if we're going to play aggressive defense. And if we're not going to play aggressive defense, then we really need to solidify and minimize our errors. So kudos to those guys to playing some really aggressive defense, and they just take charge out there.
And overall, your defense has just been very impressive this year, not only your infield, but everybody all around. Now, moving over to the coaching side. Coach, you and your coaching staff are no strangers to success over the past few years. You've been around this for quite a while now, and it's been kind of an adjustment these past few years. We've had the pandemic with COVID and cancellations. It's been weird, I would say. Now, we're adjusting to a little bit more normalcy. What have you seen from this team this year that's made it kind of different, put themselves alone from any other?
Well, this group is pretty special. The talent level is there. The camaraderie is there. They want to be with each other. Now we've got our core group to where they want each other to be successful. Regardless of someone starting or not starting, they want their friends, their teammates, to be successful because that means that they'll be successful as well. So they've gelled pretty good together. We talk about the difference between environment and culture. Environment is what the coaching staff creates, what we allow, what's in our DNA. But then the culture is what the players create themselves. And they've created a really cool culture, a fun culture. Our dugout is awesome. I'll tell you what, you can't fall asleep in our dugout because it's rocking. especially this weekend. So they've done a phenomenal job. But I think the camaraderie and knowing that there's no more, like we're moving on from COVID, we're moving on from that possibility of being shut down or canceling games, and we're just able to relax and go out there and play and have a good time.
That's kind of the name of the game of what you want. Now, Coach, you find yourself pretty active when it comes to Facebook and showing off the Rams, and on Twitter especially. And we saw a lot of the posts celebrating the regular season conference championship this weekend. One of the things I pointed out, and there's actually two. The one was you using the hashtag one team, one goal. And that's something we have not seen yet this year, at least on social media. Another one from the players, I don't know if you know about this,